Verbal and Nonverbal Communication by Group D. Verbal Communication Overview. The vocabulary term for verbal communication is the sharing of information among individuals or groups through speaking. You can also say it's a linguistic transmission of information. Spoken words only make up 7% of all communication, while 38% is made up of paraverbal communication. Paraverbal communication is the description of how we say things. The tone of your voice will affect the message you are trying to convey due to the inflections in your voice. For example, I can say something like, I didn't say that, in a flat tone, or I can say, I didn't say that, which emphasizes that in the sentence and implies that I didn't say what I'm being accused of saying, but I said something else. Nonverbal overview. Now that we've briefly discussed what makes up verbal communication, we can discuss what makes up the remaining 55%. Nonverbal communication is the part of our communication process that helps us portray the correct message to our audience. Our physical ways of communicating are dependent on multiple aspects. It is extremely important to keep demographics and psychographics in mind when conveying a message. It'd be horrifying for the presenter and the audience if an offensive gesture was made, all due to the lack of prior knowledge of our audience. Although we may say the exact same sentence in the same day, the time of day, your mood, and the environment can change our body language and in result, change our message. This is why we must always keep our body language in mind when we are communicating with others. When using verbal communication, tone is an important aspect of how your message is portrayed. An example is if I were to tell someone, "That's a nice shirt," but said it in a sarcastic tone, it will affect the delivery of my message. Another way tone affects verbal communication is if I said I was sorry to someone in a tone that sounded insincere and like I didn't mean it. That is exactly how they would take it. Verbal communication example, pitch. Pitch is an example of verbal communication because it can easily affect the message you are giving to the other person. If someone were to come up to you and they shouted at you, their message may already be viewed as negatively or obnoxious because their pitch was too loud. Pitch can also affect verbal communication in a positive way, such as in a job interview. Your pitch should sound normal and confident. Nonverbals are ways of communicating without speaking. Using expressions and actions, nonverbal communication is created. Studies have shown that when speaking with someone, only 55% of what a person is saying is done through nonverbal communication. The three nonverbals are gestures, body language, and facial expressions. Gestures are movements mostly from the hand or head to express a meaning or idea. Body language is communicating nonverbally through unconscious and conscious body movements and gestures. Facial expressions are positions and motions that are used within facial muscles, and these movements communicate a person's emotional state when communicating to the observer. Nonverbal communication signals include personal appearance, such as a doctor, nurse, construction worker, or business worker. Facial expressions can indicate a person is sad, happy, surprised, or angry. The way a person uses their body movements when giving a thumbs up or thumbs down, pointing can mean a person is being impolite. Postures can tell if a person is tired, weak, or perky. Gestures with the hand and head let us know if a person is interested or bored. Making eye contact can tell if a person is insecure or annoyed. That when the voice is used, tone and pitch carry the other 38% of communication. Communication is a basic foundation of our human life. It is with us from the moment we are born until we leave the earth. It is how civilizations are created and destroyed. How relationships are initiated and carried forward. Without communication, life would be pretty boring. Having a basis on understanding how we communicate can change not only ourselves but the lives of everyone around us. Becoming aware of how we speak verbally is a tool that is so important that there are a variety of careers in verbal communication, along with many books written on verbal speech. An example of this is pitch. Pitch creates the ability to put emphasis on words, which is a critical skill in business. Being able to conduct a meeting and express to your coworkers the importance of what you are discussing. Understanding nonverbal communication is also a very important part of our daily lives. A very simple but important example of this would be a handshake. When interviewing for a job, it is almost inevitable that you will shake hands. If you were to give someone a weak, flimsy handshake, you are not communicating confidence, and if it is too aggressive, you may seem overly excited or cocky. These are simple examples, but nonetheless part of everyone's lives. We should all work on learning how to communicate in more effective and efficient ways to make society a more knowledgeable and beneficial place.